All right, everyone. Welcome in. Sorry for the slight delay. It is BTB Analytics. We are in college football week 9. Almost feels like the dog days of the season. It's great. It's the dog days in more than one way. And we'll get that's a little bit of tease for later on as we get into the model predictions picks here. But again, a lot of good matchups to break down for you guys. We're going to be talking off the numbers, model predictions, CFB landscape, all of it as usual. Stick around. Let's get into the show.
Give a damn about a hater when I feel like it. Not today, not today, not today, not tomorrow. Get out my way, please. I'm trying to get paid. Not today.
All right, your boys are back in the saddle. All three of us. We were separated only in spirit because we were together this past weekend at the Bama and Tennessee game, which was dope. To
Vols.
use the word, go Vols, baby. But I'm just going to be honest. We're feeling it still, boys and girls. I mean, there's a little bit of us, probably still in Knoxville at the moment.
A lot of us.
We got a lot to get through. We're gonna keep it going for you guys. So let's talk matchups, okay? Let's head into Friday Night Lights. There's a couple going on. There's games going on right now as we speak. I think that we're in the middle of like 50 some days of football every single day between college and NFL. So let's talk about Boise State and UNLV, Friday Night Lights. All right, this one's could be a barn burner, at least another kind of foreshadowing element here of what I'm predicting. We make the number 3, the market was at 3, so we don't show any value in this from either side. But Seth, let me know if I'm under or overthinking this, but how complicated does this really get for Boise State other than just keep handing Ashton the ball and you don't got to worry about anything?
Well, yeah, I mean, I that's what I would have thought, but going into the numbers, you actually see a bit of a different trend here. So UNLV's offense, 27th passing offense, 23rd rushing offense, Boise State 8th passing offense, and everyone knows they're the number 1 rushing offense in our database. The interesting thing there you're going to look at is that run rate over expected. If you look at Boise, they're running the ball about 3% less than an average team. So that's a bit perplexing to me, why exactly that is. And then I saw this other really interesting stat. If we actually go on the defensive side of the ball for UNLV, their run rate over expected for teams going up against them, so their defensive matchups, UNLV is seeing a 40% pass rate over expected on defense. Now, obviously, this is a function of UNLV playing basically from a lead and teams needing to pass to catch up. So to me, this is a high variance game because you're thinking Boise State should just be running the hell out of the ball, but they're not exactly doing that on every play. And then UNLV, I mean, most teams are trying to pass against them only because they're trying to catch up. So
yeah,
can Boise State here just ground and pound the ball? And does that kind of throw UNLV for a loop? It'll do one thing for sure. It's going to limit the number of possessions. And, we can kind of see both these defenses aren't all that good. They're basically UNLV's passing defense 62nd and 60th against the rush. And Boise State's 95th against the pass and 75th against the rush. So to me, that's the question. What is Boise State's going to attack be here? Because they can throw and run the ball. And if it's on the ground, does that kind of throw UNLV for a little bit of a loop? You can see we don't really show value here. Market kind of agrees. This got open at 3, got to 4, back at 3. So I don't know.
Yeah, Steve, to Seth's points, UNLV is going to technically be the most stout rushing defense that Boise has played. I mean, they're a top 50 defense. I think number 50 exactly so far, which is again the best that they've faced so far to date. But to Seth's point too about Boise obviously being the number 1 rushing team, they're not a bad offensive team. Period. Like they can also pass the ball here. So aside from like maybe a potential like game of chess in terms of matchups here, what do you agree that it's going to be a high variance situation?
I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you. I definitely agree with Seth and what he's saying about these pass defense and their run rate over expected because their offense is just putting up such numbers. I mean, they've had 3 of their 7 games have been complete blowouts. So teams are having to throw the ball just to stay in the game. What I am looking at, though, I mean, one, this is a rematch of last year's Mountain West Championship game, and I think it's going to be just as exciting. But it's Ashton Genty's world. We're all living in it. The one thing I will say, what scares me about a Boise State team, if I'm, UNLV or any other, opponent there, is they have a balanced offense. It's just Ashton Genty is just so efficient at what he does. He's averaging 9.9 yards per carry. He's tied second for the most rushing touchdowns in the country behind Bryson Daly, go Army v Navy. But he's played a game less, right? And then the same thing goes for excuse me, he's tied for second rush touchdowns with Dylan Sampson, go Vols, who just came from Tennessee. But again, playing the game less. So he's getting it done on the ground. And I think that's what makes Maddox Madsen's job so easy as quarterback there. Because if you're going to try to stack the box against Genty, well, you're going to leave your corners and your safeties on an island there for one-on-one coverage. And I think that just makes Boise State's offense so efficient along with their run game. But it all starts and ends with Ashton Genty in my mind. I will make a case for UNLV. Looking at, you mentioned about their defense being top 50. They do have some pretty good corners. Both their corners and their strong safety are grading out as top 25 DBs in their position per PFF. So can UNLV actually try to stack the box, limit Genty on his yards per carry, on his effectiveness, his efficiency, and then leave their corners out there to also stop the pass game? That's going to be the game script for me. I think they're going to have to do if they want a chance at this game. But I do like the -3 Boise State. To your point, Kevin, I'm trying not to overthink it.
Yeah, precisely. I'm kind of glad, though, to your point, Seth. I agree with the high variance situation. I'm kind of glad we're not on this from a model standpoint, because I would feel gross about it. But yeah, I have a few more thoughts on this one. I'll save for off the numbers, because this is the game for my play personally. But yeah, should be good. I think this is gonna be, we hope, the good Friday night matchup.
This is the battle for the playoffs. Yeah. Both these teams have to go undefeated, don't you think? Or like if whatever team's going to make it to the playoff, don't they have to go undefeated to get that 12?
Well, both have a loss already, but from here on out, you mean undefeated?
Yeah. Here on out.
Yeah, from the Mountain West. I mean, yeah, 100%.
This is the battle for like the 12th seed in my mind.
Yeah, I think you could be right. Actually, in fact, I think you are right. I don't see how either of these teams get in with 2 losses. So
I don't think so.
Yeah, you would need absolute chaos.
Yeah. All right, should be good one though. Let's head into Saturday. We got a pretty stacked slate, I think. First one up, let's head to Illinois, going against number 20 Illinois. Shout out, against the number 1 Oregon. I just have an open-ended question for you, because I seeing the numbers that we track and use, and kind of the number we make it, and what the market is doing. Is Illinois not getting enough love in this situation? They're spotting what? They're spotting 21.5 basically right now. I think this opened. Did this also open at 21.5?
Opened right at 20. And what? 21. Sorry, 21 exactly.
Yeah. So and yeah, just kind of breaking down some. Okay, you want some trends? Here's some trends. Oh, Oregon 0-3 against the spread as a home favorite. Okay, not trend anymore, but there's a couple of interesting data points, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on it. So Illinois is a top 30 team in per play efficiency when throwing the ball. Oregon, however, just kind of a strength on strength situation, number 21 in passing efficiency allowed per play. Oregon's defense. This is the part where I'm like keying in, and I can't like unthink these thoughts. Basically, that Oregon, I using Game on Paper, shout out, number 102 in the country in EPA per play allowed when the opposite team is rushing, or the opposing team is rushing, excuse me. And number 105 in net success rate. So I just using the combination of like the eye test, what we've seen from Dylan Gabriel, they showed out versus Purdue last week, but they've had their moments just enough times for me to be like, this is a good Illinois team. Is 21.5 too much here?
No.
Oh, you think it could be more?
It's not enough. Yeah. I think it's Oregon. And I think if you kind of hit it on the head there. I mean, Illinois 9th passing team, 82nd rushing team. Oregon 11th against the pass, 94th against the rush. But Oregon 22nd passing, 48th rushing team. Illinois 33rd against the pass, 105th stopping the run. I think this is just like we said when Oregon played Ohio State. they're going to have to run the ball a lot. They're going to have success there. And quite frankly, I don't see how they're not. Now, on the offensive side of the ball, Oregon 31st in weighted EPA, Illinois 33rd. So I don't disagree with you here that Illinois might be able to move the ball a bit. But I think ultimately what's going to happen is you're just going to see Oregon run it, whether it was Gabriel or their running backs, and they're just going to chew up clock. They're just going to pull away. We kind of saw this when they played Purdue, and we saw the tale of two different outcomes there. Illinois had to go to overtime. Oregon beat them 35-0 or 35-3 or something like that. I mean, they had a lot of success. And I think the other thing, we have seen Illinois have success except against the top talented teams. Now, Nebraska's on the way up. I think next year is going to be a really great year for that program. But when we've seen Illinois play the Penn States and now the Oregons, this is when we've seen them not be able to compete. And when we look at talent, if we rank the talent composites, Oregon's the 4th most talented roster. Illinois falls to 55th. And so I think this is just going to be one in the trenches. And I just don't see. I'm with the model here. I think Oregon's the right side.
Okay, Steve. Yeah, Illinois lost to Penn State only by 14. And Seth mentioned Nebraska. Okay, maybe not their year, and maybe same with Michigan too. Beat Michigan outright by 2 scores. So, I'm not advocating necessarily that they have a chance to win this game. I don't think that's not where my head is at all. But I think I'm struggling. What do you think about the 21.5? Because I'm struggling to see how Oregon just blows this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Kevin, on this one. Illinois. Sure, let's start with the positives, right? They're one of 2 teams with 3 top 25 wins this season, beating Kansas, Nebraska, and Michigan. That's great. Now, on the flip side, to Seth's point, Kansas, Nebraska, and Michigan is not Oregon, right? Number 1 Oregon at that. So this will be the toughest defense they face so far. And I think what's interesting is Michigan obviously has a really good defense, but where Michigan really hangs its hat on is they are really highly ranked rush defense, the highest that Illinois has faced so far. Oregon is actually going to be the best pass defense that they faced so far. So how is Luke Altmaier going to really stand up to that test? That, to me, is going to be what dictates this game and Illinois' ability to stay in it, because we know what Oregon can do. On the flip side, and I said this last week, and I'm starting to believe more of who Oregon is. Obviously, that Ohio State win was huge for that program, and you saw them not have a letdown moment against Purdue, who they did shut out. But we've seen this in the past where Oregon against a UCLA team, they beat them by 21. Against the Michigan State team, they beat them by 21. So I'm with you. I think Oregon definitely is going to win this game, but we've also seen Oregon sort of play with their food against quote unquote lesser competition at times throughout the season. So have they gotten past that point? Has Dylan Gabriel truly fixed the issues with kind of making those early season mistakes that he can't make anymore? Because if he has, and if they have, then yeah, sure, this is going to be a blowout. But if not, I absolutely can see a gritty, battle-tested Illinois team hang in there to a 4th quarter or so.
Yeah, it's a long way to travel for Illinois. They're not used to that kind of travel, but
hasn't Oregon, as we reflect on the season, like they've just gotten better every week. They've just kind of done what everyone hasn't done, which is win and win when it's harder. Like, yeah, they barely came out with, ahead of Boise, but now we look back, Boise looks pretty good, right? They beat Ohio State. Like they didn't cover against UCLA. Is UCLA this weird team that's just like covering all their games? I don't know. They're sneaky building a resume that looks very different, I think, in the real time than when we went in the season when we're thinking this is just going to be this dominant team.
Sure.
But technically speaking, they're dominating in that they're winning.
Yeah. I agree. I think winning at 21.5 are 2 different conversations, but I do agree with you. They are getting better week by week.
Yeah, this one screams backdoor to me. So I'm glad again we showed a little bit of value on Oregon from it, not enough for us to take it. So I am once again grateful because I feel gross about this one.
Yeah, we make this something really awkward. It's something like here. I can pull it up really quick. We make Oregon minus 25.5. That's like our raw number. So look through the 24.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a tough.
Yeah,
but that's more like four possessions.
Yeah, precisely. Okay. Yeah, looking forward to this one. I'll be tuning in, obviously, but yeah, this one, I don't know. I don't know. I just got a weird one of those unknown kind of. This also feels like a high variance potential situation to me, Seth. To your point about Boise and UNLV. So, all right, we truck on though. There's a few other matchups we want to get to. Let's head to the SEC. Okay, let's go to Mizzou and Alabama. Number 21 Mizzou, number 15 Alabama. All right, I don't know how else to describe this Alabama team other than reeling. They really started off hot. Jalen Milroe kind of came on, was one of the leading candidates or kind of co-favorites at one point for Heisman. He's his stock and the team stock have since effectively plummeted. They lose to Vandy, they barely beat South Carolina, then they lose to Tennessee. So it's been a weird month for Alabama, to say it one way. Seth, my question to you is, what does Bama actually do well on offense anymore?
I mean,
that's the one thing I've been struggling to parse through, like with this game, or just how they started off so hot, and like, is the issue on what side of the ball? How do you parse through that type of stuff?
Yeah, but that seems a bit more. That seems a pretty overreaction to me. I mean, we were at the Tennessee game. We were there live. At every point, that game felt like Alabama was winning. All of a sudden, we were just even the crowd. We were joking, like all of a sudden the crowd's like, "Oh shit, we might actually win this game." And then they like started, going crazy. But I don't know. I think this is a bit of overreaction. Now, I will say this: Alabama obviously can't lose another game. Like if they want to make playoffs, but I don't know that a 2-loss team, when we look back, is not going to be all that uncommon. We're just kind of getting in the thick of all of the conference play, and Georgia just has to slip up one time to be in the same situation. Texas has to slip up one time. Like Mizzou has to slip up one more time, right? And to your point, this game is interesting to me because Mizzou is better defensively than we forecasted going in the season. Against the pass, they're 45, and against the rush, they're 25th. But they are 8th in defensive weighted EPA and 3rd in equal rate over expected. So that's pretty interesting to me. Are they going to be able to sustain this against Alabama? We've seen early money come in and support Mizzou and now move this from 14 to 13.
Mm-hmm.
I would fade the market right here. I think that I think this is an opportunity for Bama to kind of show up, win by 2 possessions. When you say what do they do well, I mean they don't do anything top 10 well, but Alabama's throwing 36th and rushing 28th, right? And so if there's enough there, in my opinion, to be able to beat Mizzou. Both of these teams struggled against Vandy, and now that we look back,
right.
is that Vandy actually just being good this year?
Yeah, I don't know, Steve. Yeah, what are your thoughts? One last point I wanted to add on Milroe, like. He's got 6 picks this year, and according to Bill Connolly, 5 more turnover worthy plays. So I said it when we were in the stands, like Alabama had 3 chances to win that game or tie it or have an opportunity to be in at the end. I'm like, all right, first drive, Heisman winning drive from Milroe, fucking 3 and out. Second drive, all right, he's got another chance, Heisman winning drive. I don't know what happened, 3 and out, or they didn't do shit. Last drive, pick to seal the game. So he for me has been the kind of catalyst in them. Yeah, just underperforming this last month. But what am I missing, or what else do you have on it?
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things, and I do agree with Seth, I think this might be a bit of an overreaction. And I get it because my gut reaction, I mean, going to that Tennessee game, my gut reaction was, oh no, Bama's in trouble. And then they lost to Tennessee. And my gut reaction is, oh, Bama, is this the collapse of Alabama? Saban's gone 1 year and the dynasty ends. But I think for me, the biggest thing here is going to be, let's go back to the strength of schedule, right? I mean, we talked about this for Mizzou's benefit going into the year, talking about the playoff futures and things like that for seeding. Can Mizzou sneak their way into an SEC title game? Because at that point they had by far the weakest strength of schedule. Not anymore. Right now they're going up against Bama, who has the second hardest strength of schedule. And a lot of that's because it's SEC football, right? So you look at Bama and their 2 losses, and yeah, there are definitely things that are concerning, but I don't know if Mizzou is the team that can exploit those things to the level that Tennessee can exploit them. And, Vandy, I think Vandy is a better loss than what we thought in real time, for sure. But let's also not pretend that Vanderbilt was supposed to be Alabama, and we go back to, is this some of this just the culture shifting of Alabama playing with their food, and you F around and you find out. So for me, I think that's going to be the biggest difference. I get the 2 losses suck, but for Mizzou, I don't know that they can do the things that Tennessee has done to them. And the last thing I'll say is PFF has a nice stat. They look at passer rating, both clean and under pressure. And to your point, Alabama can run the offense with Jalen Milroe, but a big part of his game is his ability to scramble and extend plays. Sometimes that works to their pressure or their favor, and sometimes it doesn't. Alabama's passer rating with a clean pocket is 116.4, pretty good as we'd expect. Passer rating under pressure drops down to about 78, but that still leagues and above what Mizzou is. And so I would have a lot more. I would expect Alabama's defense to influence Mizzou more than I expect Mizzou to influence Alabama. And the last thing I'll say is we saw Mizzou go up against a top 15 team in Texas A&M, and they got absolutely dog walked. So I get the concern, I get the hype, but I'm not quite buying it.
Yeah. And one more stat here for Mizzou. When you ask what's Alabama do well, what's Mizzou do well in order to cover this? Mizzou's offense is not paying off drives. They are 4.3 points per equal. That is 104th in the nation. So I don't know that this is the game where
Field goals ain't
they're
going
going
to cut it.
Yeah, they're going to have to pay off drives. I mean, they're 60th in weighted EPA. So it's an interesting team. And this Mizzou team is actually like a little bit better defensively than I think we all thought they were going to be, but they're worse offensively, which is interesting. But so I don't know. The raw number here for the model is 15.5. I think you're getting a bargain at this dip under 14. I don't think it'll last that much longer. I think it will close back at 14. I think this is roll tide.
Yeah. The market has been pretty active. It got to 14.5 for a hot second, but then they got bought back down. So yeah, maybe the market the week is still young. The market is still slightly immature. So we'll see what they do with it. So all right, let us know. Appreciate everyone tuning in right now. If you have any comments or questions as we're going through these games, please drop them in the chat here. And if you're on the page and listening to this and not subscribed, please do that. Helps us out tremendously. Drop the video a like as well if you don't mind. All right, boys. Why not? Let's stay in the SEC. Moving on, we got number 5 Texas going up against number 25 Vanderbilt. So we show a little bit of value on Texas on this one, but open-ended question, or if you guys have heard anything through the grapevine, let me know. I think this one comes down to what Texas plans to do at quarterback. Quinn Ewers got benched in that game. Arch Manning comes in. They bring Ewers back in. It was I was drunk when I was watching this game, so I don't really know. I wasn't really following what was going on. But my broader point here is what's going on there, and is Ewers on some kind of leash? I don't necessarily think Vandy's defense is going to be the one to like get him benched. I would be kind of shocked, frankly. But there's a little bit of signal somewhere in all that noise. Would you guys agree?
Well, and then there was the 24/7 post that they quote unquote got hacked, where it said that Ewers basically was going to sit out the rest of the season.
Which was that a hack situation?
That's what they said.
Okay,
I don't know if they got, but they posted it. I don't know. I mean, the interesting thing about that was you're right that they benched him, but they like pseudo benched him because they put him back in. So it was more like a timeout.
Put baby in the corner,
Yeah. I mean, look, I can give you all the stats about how Texas is just dominant, and they are. And I agree with the comment you just said. I don't. Vandy's strengths are offense, right? They can sling it, and that's a big refresh for a Vanderbilt team. But on defense, we're not talking about a robust SEC defense. 67th against the pass, 63rd against the rush. They're not going to be able to do what Georgia does to any extent. Weighted EPA, Vandy is the 92nd weighted defensive EPA. I mean, I think this is a get right spot for Texas. You can give me Ewers, you can give me Manning. 20.5, just too few. Or no, I think I put here, give me 20.5. That's an alt line. Our raw number is 28. I think this is sitting at 6 or 18, I believe. Vandy would have to play like gods offensively. It's just not defense. They're not going to be able to do anything to Texas defensively, in my opinion.
Yeah, pretty much 18.5 across the market right now.
18, yeah. I think you can get a 20.5 alt is good money.
Interesting. Okay, a couple of other random things I want to jot off here, Stephen. I want to bring in for a sec. So Vandy can likely. I just have to throw this out there. I don't think they're not going to win this game, but they're one win away from bowl eligibility. They are playing out of their collective minds in trying to get there. Okay, an interesting little nugget. All the games that they've played against FBS teams, which I think is all except for one, maybe two, someone fact check me, but have been within 10 points. They haven't lost a game by more than 10 points. And they've upset some of the highly favored teams that they've played so far. So this segues into the one point is that this is again a Bill Connolly thing. So I've been following some of his stuff more recently. I don't know, maybe I'm just either maturing or getting old. I don't know what the deal is, but he said that Vandy has been the team they're most involved, or they're involved in the most clutch plays this season, which a clutch play is defined as any play that adds or subtracts 10% win probability. So in other words, this team is a couple plays away from being 7-0, and they're also a couple plays away from being like 2-5.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah, so they by themselves are kind of like seemingly like a high variance team in a sense, and I don't know. They're like, what's the guy's name? Diego,
quarterback.
Pavia, yeah.
Pavia, yeah. I mean, he's a fun dude to root for and everything, but I'm with you, Seth. I'm not quite really ready to pounce on an alt line, but when you have a team who is overperformed, and a lot of that is because of clutch situations, it's not really, in my opinion, a kind of a transferable skill week to
Not
week.
a forward-looking stat, 100%.
Yeah. So yeah, give me. I think Texas probably rolls and romps in this one.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I agree with you guys here. I think the one thing for me, you look at, okay, yeah, so Vanderbilt, the one score games like you mentioned, Kev, those stats are all good and whatnot, but let's not forget that those losses, one of those was to Mizzou and the other one was to Georgia State. And so I kind of come back to the same thing here about this is where the things get going. So yes, the Alabama win was absolutely great. The Kentucky win was a very solid win, right? But Texas is going to be in a different league. And Sark did come out and say yours is going to be, their starter, after that game. So, that's kind of who we expect to see. But I'm with Seth here. I really don't think it matters because you're going to get the pressure all day from the defensive side of the ball. And then whether it's Arch or Quinn, I think they both have enough to overcome this Vandy defense, which is going to be its weak point there. So I think it's a feel-good story. I love the chaos that the Commodores are kind of introducing into college football, but I think the clock strikes midnight here for Vandy, and I think this is going to be a blowout.
Yeah, and also remember, going into the season, they're over under SEC wins. You guys got any guesses what those were?
0.5.
Probably 1.5.
1.5. Kevin got it. 0.5.
No.
So, I mean, can they keep winning? For sure. Can they have more upsets? For sure. This is going to be the best defense they've faced, period. So I think that'll be a test we haven't seen yet. And shout out to Bill Connolly, SV Plus, huge in college football analytics, still has quite a lot of power in the market. But I mean, shout out to him is how we kind of got started in all of this, and as far as college and what stats to look at. But in my mind, the reason SP Plus you can't just use it right off the shelf and beat the market is because like a good amount of his stats are not forward-looking stats. They're explanatory, not predictive. Meaning, he's Godfather. He came up with a lot of this stuff like explosive rate, explosive plays, like not predictive. This description that he's talking about with clutch plays. Just because you've been clutch doesn't mean you'll stay clutch.
Precisely.
And I just don't think this is the game that they can be clutch. I think
they used that up already against Bama.
I just think this is just like I think the Bama. This is not Kentucky. Like the line of scrimmage will just be a different ball game. I mean, they beat Ball State last week by 10 points. Yeah, right? They're the SEC big dogs.
Yeah, the more we're talking about this, the more I kind of like the potential alt situation here. So
20.5, I think it's reasonable. Our number is 28. We make this number.
Yeah, the market has been buying Texas pretty much all week already. So
I
we'll
don't
see.
think it's going to stop.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I know it looked really bad in real time, right? But the final score was 30-15, that Georgia to Texas, right? And then that was really that. I mean, look at the Alabama Georgia game, right? I mean, you saw a tale of two halves. So if you throw away a half of football, was Texas really that terrible? You know what I mean? And I guess that's my point here. I don't think that what you saw against a Georgia team who outscored Alabama by 28 points at some stretch or whatever it was. Like, this is just a good team doing a great team doing what a great team does. So I don't think there's really a lot of cause for concern to overreact on Texas. Georgia is not Vandy. I think that's going to be well apparent come Saturday.
And the model called that too. If you want to have faith
Yeah.
in anything, the model called Georgia over Texas. So
Right.
here's if you listen to the data, here's the model actually modeling out this matchup. This is Vandy's whatever the opposite of swan song is. I don't know.
Yeah. All
They're
right.
a good team, but what is high variance? I mean, aren't we already creeping up to like an insanely in high variance outcome already? I mean, they beat Alabama. They beat I don't know. I don't beating Texas is if you.
Oh my
What's
God.
the problem? The combined probability of them beating Texas and Alabama has got to be and rounded has got to be 0%.
Yeah.
Preseason.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
But I guess more on a more serious note, can we go back 1 second? Just for the viewers that be watching this. So you guys don't know, our favorite season is alt season for sure.
That's true.
And we talked about this. So Seth, realistically, is there like an alt number that you set that's the better, being informed of what you've been informed with, would feel comfortable as a potential bet that you would place?
Yeah, 20.5. I will play.
Yeah.
I will bet this. At 18, you have to bet it right now. I don't know if that it gets all the way to 21, but I won't be shocked. Like I said, the raw on-regress number is 28. So you could be real greedy and try to get a 27.5. I think if you shop the alt right now, 20.5 minus 20.5 for Texas full game, you'll probably, I don't exactly know what the best number is, but it's probably around 150. Fine, give it to me.
So who was there was Texas versus Michigan the first time around.
All the alts that we've given out here have been on Texas.
Okay, I was just going to try to confirm that.
But Texas does exactly what you're wanting to identify and what the model identifies. It's these teams with high efficiency pass offenses going against teams that struggle defending the pass, and they're usually combined with a good run offense, but it's that passing offense that when you get that specific synergies, like just because think about it. If they ground and pound, all of a sudden they can just throw for 30 yards on a play. Like you can just accumulate points so fast. And I think that's what the model's seeing here.
Yep.
And also from a talent level, this is Texas, I think, is the number one. No, they're number 2 to OSU.
Ohio State, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, so it shall be written. Alt season for Texas. Round 3. Let's go.
Texas is back, baby.
All right. Speaking of round 3, let's go on to one more matchup here. Round 3 for the SEC matchups this week. Crazy. We got 3 of them that we're talking about. We already talked about Mizzou, Bama, Texas, Vandy. Now we're going to LSU against Texas A&M University. We made the number 2, and we don't show any value in it from either side here. But the cannibalism in the SEC just continues. It's going to continue, I guess.
It's not going to stop.
Yeah, both teams coming into this one are undefeated in SEC play, so that's exciting. And then LSU, Steve, they like to throw the ball, and they're good at it. They have a negative 14.5% run rate over expected, basically. So in other words, they're throwing the ball 15% more than the average team. And like I said, they're good at it. Top 5 team in like EPA, in EPA per game when throwing, and number 12 in success rate. So the market hasn't done much. The market hasn't done much with this one. This is currently at 2.5. Technically opened at 3. Did touch a 4 in favor of A&M here a minute, but is now again back down to 2.5. So coin flip game as far as the market's perspective now. But why shouldn't I just want to take LSU on the points here? Because I like a lot of what they're doing versus A&M.
Yeah, I mean, so do I, right? I mean, obviously, we talk about Gary Nussmeier a lot during the podcast over the last few weeks and what that offense is doing. And on the flip side, you look at A&M, like, sure, they look good. You talk about the run rate over expected. They're kind of the opposite, right? Not quite as extreme as LSU is, but they like running the ball. And Le'Veon Moss is an absolute beast at doing that. He kind of protects Marcel Reed at the quarterback position, if I'm being honest. So it's one of those things, though, where, yeah, A&M does hang their hat on their defense. And that's always been one of LSU's sort of, bugaboos, if you will, over the last few years. But they've slowly and surely have kind of improved that week in and week out here. So I got to be honest, I would never claim to be smarter than the market, but I don't quite understand the move here. And I'm with you. I have a hard time not just kind of backing LSU in this spot right now.
Okay. Oh, wise one. Lead us astray or lead us to the promised land.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why you build a model. You can see what the model makes it. So that's why there's not movement, because we make it basically what it is. This game comes down to two things for me. It's going to be LSU's defense, because LSU's defense, we look at these numbers, they look atrocious. They are atrocious. The LSU is 105th against the pass, 37th against the rush. The interesting thing about this LSU defense, they are a bend don't break defense. 97th in elk rate over expected. So they're letting teams drive. The interesting thing here is in points per eckle, they dropped to 20th. And, that basically means they're allowing teams to get to the 40 or better. But once they get there, they're not really they're not letting teams, score touchdowns. They're getting field goals. The other thing here is, can Texas A&M take advantage of the 105th passing defense in LSU? Like, you need to show me that Texas A&M can throw the ball. This does get a little bit, in my mind, pretty close to the Mizzou game. It's not exactly the same situation, but we saw Texas A&M have success against a Mizzou defense that, quite frankly, on paper is much better than this LSU defense. And so for those reasons, if I were to have a lean, it would be in the A&M direction. But I think you're just betting on a lot of hope here. You need to see that Texas A&M can actually finish drives. We haven't actually seen that. They're 110th in points per eckle on offense. So this is a team that isn't paying drives off, and they're going up against a defense that doesn't allow you to pay those drives off. So you need to show me, if you want an A&M backer, that you're going to be able to do that. And I think you're going to have to do that through the air. So to your guys' point, I'm not far off here from you. I'd just stay away from me, but that if you want to be on the other side, I think that's the key there. And I'm not sure that you're going to get that. You can hope you're going to get that. I'm not sure you're going to.
And as we all know, hope is not a strategy.
Hope is not a strategy, unless it's alt season. No,
then all bets are off.
I think we make. I don't. We probably make it here. I can pull it up here. Texas A&M. Actually, we make this game 0.05. So, meaning it kind of leans in the direction you guys are talking about. But I mean, 2 points, not a key. Not key points here. But model tends to agree with you a bit.
Sheesh. All right. Yeah.
Maybe I mean, right all along.
Maybe. Yeah. I'm kind of. I mean, of all the games that we talked about so far, I mean, none of them are official model plays at the moment, and I'm kind of.
I will bet about a third of unit on Texas alt 20.5. I think it's a really good bet. Yeah, I think it's definitely an EV bet. It's definitely model informed, but yeah, it's not like an official model play. I'll bet it myself. I think there's value here. I'm actually trying to pull it up. FanDuel's giving me a little bit of a hard time, but I actually have it up in front of me. Minus 20.5 plus 106. So it's not even really that sexy. You might want to shop that.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we're gonna keep our eye out. Yeah, and if we give that out, or if we'll.
But 27.5
the best price. Oh, whoa! You're getting real all like. Jesus. All right. Are you still drunk? We got to move on.
No comment.
Hey, shout out Clancy's. Shout out Knoxville.
Clancy's.
Hell of a weekend.
Yeah. I know there's a few people in here watching this right now. Just curious. We try to do a game every weekend. Seth and Steve have done 5 at this point. I think I've done 2 of them. Let us know if you're here and have gone to any cool ass college football experiences, any cool football games. Let us know where we should go next, because we're gonna try to do one every year. So. All right, let's hit zoom out. We went through a bunch of good matchups here. Let's talk CFB landscape for a little bit here. So let's pull up our handy dandy power rating chart here. So Yeah, some interesting movement at the top, given a couple of recent upsets, if you will. Oregon, obviously number one. Who I didn't even remember who's number two now. Is it Ohio State? Or no?
The AP poll, I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Maybe Georgia.
I guess it might be, yeah. So okay, nonetheless, I wanna get your high level thoughts here. I forget if you guys talked about this last week or not, so humor me for a second here, but the ACC in Miami. Presumably, I don't know what I haven't looked at the odds today, but they are probably they got to be the favorite by now. They have probably happened for a couple of weeks. But is anyone else in that conference giving you guys confidence that they can put up maybe Clemson,
Let's
right?
not
Anyone
sleep on,
else?
yeah, I was gonna say, let's not sleep on Clemson now.
Okay.
But go ahead.
Yeah. Besides maybe Clemson, but I don't know why I can't something about Clemson just doesn't. Maybe it's because I hate Double Sweetie. I don't know why. Maybe I have some bias that I gotta tap into.
They're pretty closely priced.
Okay.
Plus 140. No, actually, Clemson is favored.
Oh, fascinating. Okay, so
they're very close. So it's like
Yeah.
1A, 1B kind of thing. Because
Yeah.
you can get like 115 for Clemson at one book, but it's 130 at a different book. But then so
yeah, so
they're very close.
Yeah, so in terms of overall power ratings or just general thoughts on the ACC in general, like it's a 2-horse race, right?
Yeah. But I think the real question is, can more than one ACC team make the playoff? You know who's third right now?
SMU. Shout out. Let's go.
Let's go Mustangs.
Yeah, can two teams make it from the ACC is your question.
My opinion is no.
Do they play each other? Do Clemson and Miami play each other in the season until the ACC potential championship?
Okay. They don't. But so humor me here for a second, right? So obviously there's a lot of time to go left, but current top 12, right? You got in order: Oregon, Georgia, Penn State, Ohio State, Texas is number 5. Oh wait, hold on. This is okay. And then Miami's number 6, Tennessee's number 7, LSU 8, Clemson 9, Iowa State 10, BYU 11, Notre Dame 12. Now we know one of those has to get bumped for the G5 winner, right? So someone's gonna lose out on a spot there. So let's just, for the sake of argument, say you bump down the number 12 spot, so Notre Dame's out. You then would have Clemson and Miami, who again, because they don't face each other, could go undefeated in the regular season. Then it's the ACC championship game where one of them gets a loss.
Okay.
I don't know. To your point, Seth, I'm not saying it'd be easy, but I think you could get 2 ACC teams in, because I don't know if you get 2 Big 12 teams in. And Iowa State and BYU are 10 and 11 right now.
We're aligned on that. There's Big 10 getting one team, and that's honestly one too many teams.
wait, Big 10 or Big 12?
Sorry, Big 12.
Okay.
Big 12. No, Big 10 is going to get more than one team. Big 10 is going to get more than one team. Big 12 is going to get one team and only one team. And unfortunately for us, I think as fans, the Big 12 has nothing to offer this playoff.
Okay. All right. We didn't quite talk about it when we talked about the Boise State UNLV game, but you see them there pretty firmly in we'll just call it the quadrant of elite. I mean, how legit is that in your guys' opinion, given their schedule? Actually, pretty much given their schedule.
I mean, we have a good data point. I mean, they played Oregon and they lose by 1 possession?
By 3.
They were winning that game. So we know they can play with the big dogs.
Right. Yeah, I think that's going to come down to matchup, right? I mean, again, it's like we talked about it. They're just so efficient in the run game without having to be overly dedicated to that. Like, that's not all that they do. Yeah. So, I don't know. Now, to your point here, I'm just kind of double checking real quick. Sure, strength of schedule is always going to be a lot weaker, 93rd currently. So, but to Seth's point, right, we've seen one data point against the number 1 team in the nation. Now, they weren't that at the time they played, right? But all the team talent was there. So I think Boise State is definitely, they're obviously the front runner right now, also ranked number 17. They can cause some chaos. How much more than that, I don't know. I kind of seen, I don't know if you guys remember, like the Florida Gulf Coast University. They were like, a few years ago, they kind of ran it as a 16 seed or 15 seed, I think, and had an upset, and then they immediately lost. Like that's why I see for Boise State. I can see them getting one game depending on who the matchup is.
Yeah, so I just ran the Sims. So to answer your original question, Kevin,
Yeah.
The Sims really like Miami to win the ACC. The Sim makes it minus 123, then Clemson at plus 322. So they're for sure the favorite there. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Steve.
No, that was it.
Can we talk about this Indiana team?
Okay.
Yeah.
Horrible time to get your quarterback injured.
Yeah. No kidding. Definitely.
Can they actually do anything in the Big Ten?
Let's see. Best odds you can get.
It says 30,000, but there's no way it's real.
Yeah, there's no way that's real. So
Sims
it looks like
makes this number plus 2,600.
Okay.
But now they have an injured quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Did anyone know how long he's out for? Have you guys heard that?
That I don't know.
Okay.
That I don't know.
Yeah. To your point, do they have a chance to like? Oops. Are they on bye this week?
No, they are not.
No, they've got Washington, right?
Yeah.
They have Washington. Okay.
Washington. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, damn it. I can't find that. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, presumably, yes. If he's out for any extent, more than one game, then that's obviously, I don't know to what extent that affects everything for them. But this has been a super fun team to watch. Like they absolutely shredded Nebraska, unfortunately, this past weekend. But
yeah,
we'll see, man.
Is that one of the most impressive wins, like this season? Or
of any
Nebraska
teams?
like slowly like it's coming to focus. Like Nebraska's better than they were last year, but they're just right now an average Big Ten team.
Okay. Yeah. Our producer, I don't know where you saw this, but he said likely missing just 1 week, could return for Michigan State, presumably in 2 weeks, according to Fox. Okay. Shout out.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else? Let's pull up the landscape one more time, if we could.
Yeah, I want you guys' thoughts. I want you guys' honest thoughts on this, and let me know if I'm being crazy here, because we talked about this last week. I have a bet in for BYU to make the playoffs, and essentially the thesis was they're going to win the Big 12. They are ranked now number 11th. They don't have to face Iowa State, who is their next competition, and all the other 0-1 loss teams have to face each other. With ASU losing, they're no longer a one-loss team. That is, quite frankly, their toughest test left. I saw a bet on FanDuel, make every moment more. FanDuel, please sponsor us, for undefeated teams. And BYU is at plus 360 to go undefeated for the regular season, not playoffs, the regular season. And so I'm looking at this, right? And they have, of their games, they have UCF. So of the, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 16 teams, right? 16 teams in the Big 12, right? They have UCF, who is ranked 10th in the Big 12, although they're a frisky team. They're a lot better than their record shows. Okay. They have Utah, right, who's ranked 12th, and we've all kind of said that ship is done. They have Kansas, who's ranked number 11th in the Big 12. They have ASU, which I think is going to be their hardest game. They are 7th, I believe, in the standings. And then they end with Houston, who is second to last, so 15th. So besides ASU, and again, a UCF team who can be frisky, they're facing the bottom tier of the Big 12. And that's what we're banking on them to win.
Interesting.
So at
what
plus
was that
360.
Plus 360?
Plus 360.
Yeah. It feels like
go ahead.
It feels like if they get through this game at UCF, because they are dogs technically, I think they're 1.5 point dogs right now. Yeah, if they get through this one unscathed, and you obviously you got to lock that value in probably now today, or at least before the game. But
I mean, the Sims do not show its value. It's negative EV for sure. It's so the number to price over 11.5 wins. The fair price should be plus 717, which you're implying that they're going to go over 11.5 wins. They're going to win 12 games, right?
Right.
So
yeah, that would have to. Yep. Plus 717. The Sim show, you said?
Yeah.
Sheesh.
I mean, it's tough to go undefeated, especially when you're just like a fucking mediocre. You're just a Big 12 team. You're nothing in this real college football world.
But so are they.
Yeah,
You're nothing's in the
So-
same small pond.
yeah, but when you nothing and nothing, I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I get it. The one thing that I don't think I think it's a good bet that you made last week. The other thing though, I didn't bring this up is I think you might still be able to get a number. So one, let's start there. For them to make the playoff, it's still EV. So that's a good thing to see. It's still the true number now is plus 116. You can still get like plus 220s and stuff in the market. So you're still spot on there. But the one thing I did remember seeing last week was the market for them to win the Big 12 was actually priced differently for them to make the playoff. So I'm just trying to pulling this up. The Sims don't even have the Big 12. That's how bad it is. Okay, there it is. So BYU is now plus 380. So at DraftKings, making every moment less. So I think you might be better off. See, this is interesting. This is why it's hard to simulate this stuff. So the Sims show plus 116 to make the playoff, but they're plus 588 to win the Big 12.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
Those maths don't math. But remember, either do the books. And I spoke to Bud Elliott about this, and now that I've spent, that was a number of months ago. I understand what the disconnect here is. In order to run these sims, and in order for you to make the playoff number, you have to make some assumption, right? Because we don't know what's going to go into the committee's mind.
Sure.
And so the assumption you're having to make is the number of wins that's going to get you in. And so that's why you're seeing a discrepancy. But remember, the book's odds on this, they're going to have to make an assumption as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that this is a really good attack to me. You can still get a plus 380, but really, if you really think about it, if they're plus 116 to make the playoff, they have to win the Big 12 to make the playoff. So,
right.
Okay.
Or is there more value on a Kansas State? They're right now plus 2. The real number is 213, and you can get plus 375s in the market.
Yeah, if we're to your point, Seth, like it doesn't feel good to even lock in value is with the Big 12. Like I'd rather just
this is a shit show.
Find me another conference where there's value.
Yeah, just burn money,
stay away. So
wait, can we do one last quick thing?
Please.
Seth, you've been really big on Army. I'm just curious in your thought. Does Army legitimately have a chance? I mean, anything's possible. That's why we play the game here. But they have to play Navy and Notre Dame. Because I thought I saw, and let me double check. I thought I saw like a plus 2,000 something
for them to
2,000 plus for Army to make the playoffs. I thought I saw that. Let me confirm. This was last week as well, so that may have changed.
I don't even know if we have an Army number, to be honest.
Yeah. Talk about not knowing how to price it. Like that's the books probably would be reluctant.
It's showing
to
plus 9,000 at Caesars, but there's no way. I'm seeing a plus 2,000 at MGM. But the true number we're saying should be plus 2,100. If you can get a true plus 9,000 at Caesars, which there's no way you can.
But lock it in and then prepare to have your account flagged.
Wait, so that your number was set 2,100?
2,100, yeah. So the only EV would be against that plus 9,000 number that doesn't exist at Caesars.
All right. 9 weeks in, a lot has changed. A lot will continue to evolve as we go.
How about them Penn State tickets?
Hey, shout out! I'm holding a couple. So
hey, there you go.
Let's go. Yeah, we've talked about and have placed a couple of in our opinion good value bets as we talk through the landscape stuff. So if you guys are tuning in, this is a good segment to pay attention to. In my opinion, think about some of these teams a little differently from a value perspective. So
we've said it for 3 different weeks. Sorry to cut you off there, but before we get into that, we've given out basically Jay Millero, which is not going to win at this point.
Yeah,
Ewers not going to win, but the Carson Beck one for sure has legs now. Like now his arc is he loses to Alabama and then it's just up. That Ryder's going to eat that story up.
Yep, everyone loves a redemption story.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, the Penn State playoffs. I think there was Tennessee too. I don't have any Tennessee, but.
No Tennessee. I think it was Alabama and Penn State were the two, but
yeah. Okay. All right. Shout out. Let's move on. Regularly scheduled programming, boys. Let's head into week 9 off the numbers picks. Again, for anyone just tuning in or maybe not familiar, this is we have a model that we use to find value in the market and bet those games. We also have this segment called Off the Numbers, where the three of us look at the market and either using the model as kind of a foundation or just a piece of the puzzle, and we make our own picks, and we have a nice little friendly competition going. So let's run through all three of ours here real quick, and then we'll kind of give an overview here. So Seth, kick it off to you, man, if you don't mind. Lead
Yeah,
us
no,
off
I
for
can go
this
first.
week.
Yeah, I alluded to it here. I'm my off the numbers are Indiana -6.5. I think you're getting a God's gift right here. Our true number on this game is 15.5, so over 2 possessions. This number is only 6.5 because of the injured quarterback. After what they did to Nebraska, I don't know that I'm all that concerned. It's not like, of course, they want to have their starter, but I think this team is talented enough to do whatever they're going to do against a good defense, and they did it to, again, a good Nebraska defense with that backup in. And Washington's strength here is not defense. So, yeah, give me the 6.5. I think it's a bargain. This originally opened to 7. I think the 6.5 is a steal.
Yeah,
You're
I mean,
basically getting a discount, 50% off.
yeah, to your point, the market has been leaning and kind of favoring Indiana. It did touch a 7.5 for a little bit before coming back down. So who knows? Maybe it is a sneaky good buy low spot. So okay. All right. Indiana -6.5. Steve, you're up next. What do you got?
Yeah, just kind of talking about this whole BYU run and what they're doing here. I'm taking BYU money line over UCF. They're coming in as slight dogs, plus 105 on DraftKings. Make every moment less. Yeah, I think for me, it's one of those things where BYU is definitely not flawless, right? We saw them have a hell of a run for their money against OK State, and they even came out and said it during their media day. This. Satake came out and said, "Hey, listen, they caught us off guard. They ran the ball with their quarterback. They ran it well. We saw Garrett Ringo come in as the backup for Oklahoma State. Alan Bowman did end up playing as well, so it kind of went back and forth. They really threw a lot of schemes. They came off a bye week. They were prepared for this. BYU had some chances to make some adjustments at halftime, and quite frankly, OSU should have won that game. BYU came out with a last second play to kind of take that in, but they won nonetheless. And so, call it lucky, call it clutch. They got the W. UCF runs the ball really well. I think Gus Manziel is going to have that team ready to go. They are way better than their 3-4 record shows. But with that being said, I think BYU still is a better team. They're going to be prepared for this. I like the buy low spot, the dog spot for them. I'm taking the money line.
Okay. All right, BYU money line for Steve. Last up, I am going back to the Boise State and UNLV game. I locked in over 66.5 points, -105 at FanDuel. The thesis basically is solid offenses and mid defenses. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Again, both teams not great in defending the pass, and it just in breaking down the numbers and seeing kind of how these teams stack up. I think the firepower collectively between the two is going to be too much. I don't care that UNLV is the quote unquote best defense that Boise State has faced to this point in defending the run. It's not by a wide margin. You got the Heisman favorite at the helm. You have a really solid top to bottom offense for Boise State, and UNLV in its own right, like don't sleep on that offense. We talked about them too, but Boise #1 running the ball, UNLV top 15. I just see too many options for both teams for there not to be points. So I locked in over 66.5. So let's pull up the recap here. Steve, to your point, I think you're better than what your record shows, to be frank. So poor Steve.
Oh yeah, second half run uploading right now.
Here we go, baby. All right, so one more time. I'm on the over. I'm 3-1 so far. Steve, BYU money line defeated so far, but turnaround right around the corner, baby. And Seth, -6.5 Indiana, -3-1 or 3-1 record as well. So all right, that's Kevin. Yep, that's off the numbers, week 9, baby. All right, let's move into last part, some of our listeners' favorite part of the segment as well. We got model picks and predictions for college football week 9. So let's pull up the card that we got. I mentioned at the very start, it is the dog days of the season, but it is another week of the dogs, baby. We got nothing but dogs on the card. So you see them up here. Seth, if you want to just run through what we got, and then let's talk about it real quick.
Yeah. Dogs are barking this week. We're only on dogs. We're on Georgia Tech 10.5, Duke plus 11.5, Auburn plus 2.5, Oklahoma plus 21, West Virginia plus 3, Oklahoma State plus 6.5, and North Texas plus 8. Every dog goes to heaven. Let's go. Go dogs.
Let's hope, baby. Let's hope. Yeah, another interesting one. This Duke one. This is the only one really that stood out to me. Like, again, maybe I had to try to remove kind of my inherent bias because we're holding SMU futures tickets, and they're I haven't checked if there's any value on them yet. Probably not, frankly, but
On Duke, or what do you mean?
On the SMU futures right now, just for them to win the ACC.
Yeah, for sure. There's value. What do you have? Like plus 2,000?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, it was somewhere in that neighborhood.
Oh yeah. There's mad. They're third right now. I think they're plus like 400 to win.
More specifically, I meant if there's any cash out value.
Oh,
like
I'm
if
sure
we're
there
at
was
that point
because
yet.
when 2 or 3 weeks ago, when Arizona and SMU were winning, I could cash out one of the parlay for like double. So that makes me think that probably those are now not able to be cashed out.
Oh,
but
for sure. Yeah, those are dead.
But your ACC ones might look like pretty good, and that team has turned it on. Quite frankly, tale of two halves. I don't know. I haven't like pulled back the hood. At this point you build a model. You kind of trust the process. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Duke is just like a ground and pound game. I mean, we saw what they did to Florida State. Quite frankly, they overperformed in that game. Now Florida State's trash, but they're doing what they need to do.
Yeah, that's fair. And I'd be remiss if I hadn't mentioned this too, but let's pull the record or the model card back up there, please. But first several weeks of the season, first 5 or 6, we were basically hanging around 50%. Even one week, I think we technically dipped slightly to be unprofitable. But what a run! What a couple of weeks the model has had. And this is, I think we're 15-3 in 2 weeks. Someone fact check me on that.
Yeah,
but
we're sitting almost right around 54% right now. 50. Yeah. What was it? What's the record? 53 and 43.
Yeah,
50. Yeah. So model record's 51 and 43, which is like right around 43% or 53%. So
yep. And again, for anyone not familiar with us, we do the expected win rate for the model is about 55%. So we're pretty much kind of in line. But yeah, we've had a very good couple of weeks here. So good to be back in the win column for sure. So. All right, boys, that'll do it. Another edition of College Football 3% Edge in the books. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Again, let us know what you guys think about any of these matchups while we're talking about them or after the fact. You're coming across a video, let us know in the comments. We'll be happy to answer any questions. Please don't forget to like the video. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel either. Helps us out tremendously. So, boys, week 9's coming up. Week 10 next week. Holy moly. All right, it's been real, boys. You guys have a good night. We'll catch y'all next week.
Take care.